What's good, everybody? It's full-time triple. We're back in the building for another video. This time we are doing this Manchester United game. Manchester United 3, Arsenal 1 at Old Trafford. Really unfortunate result overall. A little bit, you know what I'm saying? Well about it, man. But it was an interesting but disappointing game, man. I will come outright and say this first and foremost. This is something that we shouldn't really get too hung up on. There are lessons to take from this game, but if you look at the performance, if you actually watch the game, we dominated. It was a very endearing sign for me to take positives from the game. It was actually very endearing to see how we dominated parts of that game. Like for a good at least 65, 70 minutes, we dominated that game right before the change, right before the formation change and the substitutions and stuff. But we dominated proceedings. We felt we were really good on the ball. People were getting cooked, bruh. Who was it? Malacia was getting cooked. Xhaka was on him the entire game. At some parts of the game, Lisandro Martinez was getting cooked. Gabriel Jesus was on him, bro. It's like, as a team performance, it just felt so positive. But we didn't finish our food, bro. Like, if I'm gonna keep it a stack, if we're gonna be real, that was in the ballpark of a Man City performance right there. Except for we did not finish our food. We didn't eat. We didn't finish the chances we were supposed to. Some bad misses. Saliba had a miss. Odegaard had a really bad miss when he was in the box. Saka, there were some chances that he missed as well. But you know what I'm saying? Like, just off the top of my head, but we dominated that game. But this is the difference, I think, in the places we have left to go. We're not clinical yet. We're not, lights out shooting yet. In the parts where we lacked, I think that's where United excelled, in those decisive moments where there's something that has to be finished. There's a goal that has to be had. Right when we saw it, it was kind of right there playing to see the first goal. You know what I'm saying? Got a little bit exposed, and Anthony tucks it away. In transition, Manchester United were excellent today. You got to give it a fact. We in some parts played a high line, and in other parts it was just some really good passes made from Eriksen and Bruno into space. We couldn't keep up with the pace, and they finished. That's where they excelled, being clinical on the counter, sustaining that pressure, and making things happen on the other end in transition. But I still want to take positives from the game. I still want to take positives because, to me, that was one of the best performances we've had at Old Trafford in a good while overall. But again, the finishing is just not where we need it to be yet. There isn't enough ruthlessness in front of the goal to finish those things off. To take those shots that we that we in the past probably haven't taken, and actually commit to, again, just really being taking over the game and finishing all the way up to the last action, especially in the final third, because we're building more momentum in that direction. We're building more control in games. We're building more, again, dominance in certain areas. But it's just the final ball, just finishing it off, killing the game, scoring more. The VAR decision, it was unlucky, but I don't want to talk about that because that's going to be a lot of what a lot of people are going to be, contending over, in the videos this week. Even without that, we should have scored 3 goals. We should have scored minimum 3 goals. There were so many good chances that came and went because we just weren't on the end of them. There weren't enough people in the box. Chances weren't taken. People didn't shoot. But it was tough. It was tough. And then we get caught up in transition sometimes. Unfortunately, some mistakes here from Sambi. A big mistake for the first goal by Gabriel. He's a bit too rash there, in my opinion. And we just kind of we paid the price for the mistakes we made. We paid the price, I think personally, and it's just a learning lesson. It's a learning lesson. We're still top of the table. There's going to be lessons to be had. We're going to lose games this season, of course, but I think overall, even with personnel missing, the way we dominated most parts of that game is a really good sign for where we're going, man. Unfortunate, and I'm mad we didn't get the 3 points. I'm not like all good buddy about this. I'm still mad we lost this game, but in other times we would have crumbled. In other times, we would have been barely holding on in terms of a systematic play. But hopefully, with the right signings, and hopefully Partey is back soon, and hopefully other people are back in the lineup and we're full strength again, we can dominate and then finish those games. But yeah, there was too much tactical analysis to go through, man. I could talk about. I'll also stop for a minute and give credit to Ten Hag, because Ten Hag he's really good at what he does. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. He was really smart to, again, employ some, just how he how he employed his side, bro, with high energy. Again, defended compactly when they needed to, broke when they needed to. Again, just exposed people on the counter, utilize the pace as well as they could. Ten Hag was very smart with how he deployed the team, 100%. But we'll see. We can go through the player ratings real quick and just go through 1 to 11. Let's kind of talk about the game from there as well. We'll start with Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsdale, I'll give probably about maybe like a 5. I'll go 5. I'll go 5. There was things that he could have possibly saved. The first goal, I feel like maybe he was leading already to near post when Anthony was opening up to go far post. Maybe some things like that. Distribution was okay, not the greatest. He wasn't the worst today. Unfortunate in front of certain shots because I think the second or third goal ricocheted. I think it was the second goal actually that ricocheted off of Ben White. It was a deflection, and then the third goal there was nothing really he could do with Rashford closing in like that. So I mean, I'd say a bog standard 5, but unfortunate. Going down to Ben White. Ben White, I'm going to give a 5. I'm gonna give a 5. I'm gonna give him a 5. It was unfortunate. I feel like he still played well in certain instances on the overlap and whatnot, but the defensive end, that's where you gotta be really, again, careful, because he was getting ran down by Rashford. Again, it was the unfortunate, I guess, situation that we were caught in, but Rashford was running down on him at certain points. Ronaldo was running down on him when he got subbed on. Like it was hard for him to cope in transition like that, and we got exposed. I feel like it's down to certain things, but from how we set up, it was just not the best goal of it. I'm giving Ben White a 5. We'll go down to Gabriel M. I'm gonna give Gabriel I'm gonna give him a 3. I'm giving him a 3. Unfortunately today, I feel like out of the bunch, he had the most trouble, I think, because of where he was positioned and where he had certain things. I don't know what you want to credit that as, but I think that for the third goal, he was the highest up in that press, where I feel like other players should have been there in his place to help him, so he can kind of help the back line, help the back line be a little bit more structured for those types of breaks. The mistake he made, obviously, for the first goal was really, really rash. I don't think you should be sliding right there. At least give you a second, because everybody's gonna crush that way, and it gives a free man on the right hand side a clear shot at goal. Wasn't the best game from him. I think it's a solid 3. Moving on to Saliba, I'm going to give he can't get much higher. So I mean, unfortunately, he was subject to the same tough things. I'm gonna give him I'll give him a 4. I'll give him a 4 because he still got spun. It was unfortunate. They all got subject to the same thing. I can't really give him a 5 or anything like that, or 5 or 6 or above. There were some parts where he was, again, the Saliba that we saw from the past 5 games, but then the system just kind of fell apart. And as we got pressed and as certain things happened, he wasn't able to keep up with it. So I feel like he was trying to account for too many things at once, trying to help out where he could. And do some things. I think he was the better of the 2 center backs with how he kind of went about it. He gave support when he needed to Ben White. But at the end of the day, some of those the passes went straight through his channels, and he wasn't able to cope. So I'm gonna say 4. Going Zinchenko. Honestly, Zinchenko, I'm going to give a 4 as well. For the first goal, I don't even think he was near it, but again, that was down to him being forward and not getting coverage from Xhaka and the rest of the back line and such. It's a tough weak point that we have to trying to work out the balance between, again, him going forward, making those runs, him coming back, figuring out when the right time is for that, how Xhaka can possibly fill in. It's bad. It was not the best of games. But again, keeping the ball secure, there was some immaculate touches that we know he can make, and he did. But unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. Moving into the midfield, we got we're gonna go with Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka, I'll give. He wasn't the worst player today. He was not the worst player today. I feel like at some points he really had to try and do more, and that's where he ran into some trouble. I'm gonna give him 5 today. I'm gonna give him a 5. But where he really struggled is when he started to have to get more responsibility in the midfield to rotate the ball. Like, you notice in most of these games, you have some level of security, so somebody else can do that job of running around, keeping the ball secure and doing your thing and pinging it around, and he can make more advanced runs. But in this game, you saw how he had to, at some point come deeper, come to the right hand side. He actually had to make things happen and again distribute the ball a bit off of his normal pace in other games. I would personally say, and I feel like that caused him to again maybe be a little bit slower on the ball. But sometimes he didn't release the ball quick enough. It felt like we had to make an adjustment in the second half at some point, and it really kind of caused that downturn. So I'm gonna say a 5 for Granit Xhaka. For Sambi Lakanga, I'm going to give a 3. It's tough, man. It's tough. I really believe there's a player in this kid. There's a player in this guy. But right now, when he's getting thrown in the deep water, he's hiding. He's hiding. I don't know if it felt like it just me personally, but at some point after the first, the first few minutes after the goal, I didn't really see him much. And in the second half, I didn't really see him too much. There were some points where he did impose himself, but it wasn't consistent enough for me to say he didn't hide in the game. There was spells where I just didn't really see him. And of course, the first mistake, he wasn't even present for that first goal. He was all the way in, left wing, but didn't even track back. It just wasn't good, man. It was not good. And again, the second goal, I believe his header was a bit loose, and then that caused the second goal. That caused the break in space. And then again, it just, he felt out of sorts. He felt out of place a little bit, and that's tough. But I really think that he just needs time, man. He just needs time. Does he need a loan? Maybe. But I got to give him a 3. It wasn't a good performance from him, but hopefully he can again take this in stride and show that he's got more in his locker and he can actually impose himself on games. Just need that bit more physicality, bit more security. In advanced roles and passing, he looks fine. He looks good, but it's imposing yourself on the game and shoring up the defense and being a shield for them instead of, again, them getting ran on every time by Rashford and stuff. So I need to see more from him. Okay, going to Bukayo Saka really quickly next. I'm going to give him a 7. Bukayo, I feel like he was either the best or the second best player on our team that game. I really think he was. I have to say he played a beautiful pass that was unfortunately marked as a foul. The VAR, again, not going to talk about that. It is what it is. Was playing really well, had Malacia on toast most of the game, was getting some joy in certain spaces, didn't get to I guess get as much clear space because how he's marked, but again got the goal, kept us moving, kept us running. I feel like he was making the most happen. But in my pre-match, when I was talking to my boys and stuff, I was like, yo, if there's anybody to make a difference in this game, it's going to be Saka, because he's going to have the most joy to break down the 1 or 2 defenders that are on him. Again, make things happen, drive more into the box. He did a lot of those things. I wish he could do them more and kind of drive harder to the byline and not get stopped up too much when he's on that right-hand side and cut back or do anything like that. But I'll give him a 7. Odegaard, our captain, I'm going to give a 5. I'm gonna give a 5. Yeah, I'm gonna give a 5. I'm sorry. Every time I'm seeing it, the chance just burns in my head. It literally, I think it's Jesus that gave him the ball, or Saka that gave him the ball, and he just side foots it all the way to the left hand side, bro. It springs past the left winger. I think it was Martinelli that was there. But you gotta finish chances like that, man. You gotta be more ruthless in front of goal. Odegaard has so much in his locker, and he does so much to help and recycle the ball and keep us moving. But I felt like this game, it called for him to be a bit more selfish and just take shots, take more chances. On the ball progression side of the fence, he was one of our main contributors. He came from deep to receive the ball, and I feel like that's also a gift and a curse, because I'm glad to see him taking that initiative and picking the ball up and making things happen. But also, when it's done too often, how do we have room to advance when there's not that many people up forward? You know what I mean? I feel like that's more of a question on the double pivot that we have, or the 2 more central midfielders in Lakanga and Xhaka, but and Zinchenko in parts because they invert and stuff like that. So it's tough. It's tough, man. But when you have chances like that, you got to finish them. So I'm gonna give him a 5. I'm gonna stick with it. Going to Martinelli. I'm going to give him, that's tough. I think I'll give him a 5.5. I'll give him a 5.5. I think he had the better of Dalot in certain moments, but I feel like it was kind of like 50-50, a little bit leaning towards Dalot in kind of those duels he had with him. There's a little bit, a little bit ineffective in certain parts of the game. I feel like I'm trying to remember if there was any, major instances he had like a break or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look at the game back a little bit deeper, but it wasn't too loud of a game from him. So I'm gonna give him a 5.5. Again, he continues to work, work hard, put in the shift, but again, not too much output from his end, and he wasn't on set pieces at all this game, I don't think. So I feel like that also hurt his score a little bit from previous ones. Moving on to our striker, Gabriel Jesus, I'm giving a 7 as well. I in hindsight, I'm gonna give him man of the match. I think I'm gonna give him man of the match. I think even though Xhaka was the goal scorer, even though he was there, it could really go either way for me. You can literally ask me like 20 minutes and I'll probably change my answer. But him and Xhaka were the two most consistent, energetic, lively players. When you felt like something was going to happen, it was them. Gabriel Jesus was mostly himself that game. Again, he was breaking down players. He was harassing the back line, defenses, pressing, making things happen, dribbling on the ball. Again, really strong in certain challenges. Like the little nudge before aerial challenges when they come in. He's still such an energetic player, but I feel like it's down to the performances of the team and how, again, sometimes Jesus was on the left wing, sometimes he was on the right hand side, sometimes he was in right midfield trying to pick up the ball and make things happen and distribute and move. That took away from his overall performance. So I'm going to give him a 7. I think I'll give him man of the match, but it could have been between either him and Xhaka, but it wasn't, again, the greatest game because there wasn't much output on his end. Honestly, I'm just gonna bulk all the substitutes in a pretty much all in one. I'm just gonna say a bog standard. I'm gonna give him a 3, and I'm gonna say 3 not because of their individual performances, just because when those changes start to take place, especially the first 3 subs we made in like the 74th minute, that's when everything really switched off. We were actually starting to build some momentum and actually really got forward. But as soon as we brought those 3 changes on, again, it was that one little press on the left hand side, and they were gone. Third goal was scored. It was done. It was done from there. As soon as we changed the shape and changed system, it was the beginning of the end. So it was already done. Substitutes, I'm just gonna give a box standard 3. Fans, I'm going to give a pretty much a standard 9. Honestly, 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Old Trafford was probably bounced a little bit because they got some of the joy again. They had like their debutant. Anthony scoring and stuff and doing their thing, but I feel like, again, our away support is so good, and we still cheered the players on through everything, through all the unfortunate moments and stuff, and we moved, man. They kept that team together, man. They were really good, so I'm gonna give them at least a 9 out of 10. For the manager, I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 10. In execution of what he wanted to do and how he wanted to impose how he wanted the team to impose themselves on Manchester United, I feel like he executed that well. With the personnel that he has, with the system that he set up, we dominated the ball, we were creating chances. It was down to the team to score, and they didn't. That's what I think it happened there. There were some points in the game where Ten Hag, again, he started to employ, again, some of the tactics that he wanted, started to, again, catch on the break, doing certain things. I feel like he should have accounted for that and maybe switched the formation to something different. But when Arteta actually changed the formation at the 74th minute and the goal went directly out, it killed any possibility of us coming back into the game. As soon as we switched to a back 3, it killed any possibility. With a ball over the top like that, or any balls through into space, we were going to get exposed like that very quickly, and we were going to be desperate to press. So I understand there was the point of us going for broke, and actually we had to do something, but I think it was just the wrong time. I think we were actually still making headway with the previous system, and maybe gradually introducing 1 or 2, maybe 1-2 people max, and not completely wholesale changing the system and 3 players. It kind of, I feel like that might have disrupted our flow, and it kind of screwed us in the end and kind of put the final nail in the coffin. But Arteta, I'm gonna give a 6 out of 10. Tough day out. Well, that's all we got for this video today. An unfortunate result, but I think the boys played very well, and this is I think it's a precursor for good signs, but also wary things that we need to tweak and make sure we cut out of our game and really, again, just nip in the bud going forward. Again, winnable game against Everton next, I believe. Also have Europa League starting this week, so gonna be some interesting stuff, different performances coming through. So hopefully we'll be good, get back to winning ways, and yeah, we'll be moving, man. Be sure to check out the latest video I have somewhere on the screen right now. You guys don't want to miss some more content coming from me. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and see you in the next one. Peace.